Hello, and welcome to the Rebel Review. I'm JD Rebel Ruddle, and right now we're going to do my top 10 vampire movies of all time. We are going to start out with number 10, Vampire in Brooklyn from 1995, starring Eddie Murphy and Angela Bassett. I believe it also starred, what's his name? Kadeem Hardison. That sounds right. And he's actually really an underrated and underappreciated actor. If you haven't seen any of his movies or any of the TV shows that he's in, go and check him out. He's really just an incredibly underrated and gifted actor. I think throughout the movie, it's just consistently funny. It's consistently suspenseful and thrilling. Uh, it's just probably one of the more entertaining, rather than spectacle, gore, blood. It was just an very entertaining movie, and it kept me amused throughout, from start to finish. Uh, One of my all-time favorites. I can't get enough of any movie with Eddie Murphy in it, except for his later movies. Like in the past few years, they haven't been so great, but nevertheless, Eddie Murphy is a master of comedy, and the element of horror and the element of comedy in Vampire in Brooklyn is just really good. If you haven't seen it, you're robbing yourself of a great flick. Number 9, 30 Days of Night, starring Josh Hartnett from 2007. Uh, Ben Foster is also in it. Incredibly gifted actor. I love Ben Foster. I will watch Ben Foster in any freaking movie. He's just that damn good. He's just so good at playing a bad guy. In the wrestling terms, because I watch wrestling, a heel. He's just really good at getting under your skin and being a great antagonist. That's the best part about Ben Foster, I think, in any movie. I haven't seen many movies where he's been the good guy, but he's so good at playing a bad guy. Well, why fuck up a good thing, right? Number 8, Dracula from 1931. Such a classic movie. Bela Lugosi is just phenomenal in any lead role or minor role that he has. There weren't many minor roles, I don't think, because he was just so damn good. I'm trying to remember some of the other actors in there, but it's really hard because that movie was from 1931, and I'm not familiar with a lot of the actors from that film. But Bela Lugosi has been in several creature features or universal horror pictures, and he's just a class act for an actor. And if you appreciate good suspenseful, sorry, I scratched that. Not good, but great. If you appreciate great suspenseful movies, you will enjoy anything that Bela Lugosi is in. Like The Raven, I believe he's in that. There's also movies out there on YouTube. They're black and white creature features with Bela Lugosi. You can probably find them on Vudu or any other streaming devices. So give it a shot. Anything about Dracula, I'm really into. Especially, even though it's not on here because it wasn't technically a vampire movie. Actually, Dracula Untold isn't on here. And that is one of my favorite movies, but it did not make my top 10, which is really surprising because I really enjoyed Dracula Untold. But the movie I'm talking about, uh, Dracula from 1931, black and whites that Universal has put out over the years are some of my favorites, and I'll have them in other podcasts shortly. But I wanted to stick to the favorite vampire movies. And Dracula 1931, it's obviously not as gory. It's not as graphic. You don't see really blood or anything like that. It's just an old school classic suspenseful type of movie. And if you're out there and you're coming into the world, you're whether you're born in the last 15 years or 20 years, that don't matter to me. You may have different tastes than me, but if you appreciate good suspenseful movies, go and watch some of these old black and white Universal flicks, or even some Alfred Hitchcock movies, and I promise you, you won't go astray. Coming in at number 7 are the Blade 1 and 2 movies. I didn't mention Blade 3 because I only watched it for Triple H's cameo, which is kind of shitty to say, but I could tell it just wasn't going to be a good movie, and it wasn't. It really sucked. I didn't care for it. I also don't give a shit for Ryan Reynolds. So, and I can't remember if he was in Blade 2 or not. He may have been, but I'm not a fan of Ryan Reynolds, so you will probably not hear very many movie reviews that include him. But Blade 1 and 2, Wesley Snipes is just a badass. He's great with martial arts and, those kind of films. He's so good with action. He's kind of like a one-liner type guy. Chris Christopherson is also in the Blade franchise, and he really adds that old school tough guy. I've been through shit and hell and back and got the shirt, type guy, and he's always been like that for any role in, well, most of his roles in movies. I know he's got some out there for dramas, but if you've ever seen any of his westerns, they're pretty damn good too. And I'm big into westerns, so I promise we will have a podcast for my favorite westerns. On to the next one. I didn't include the sequel to Fright Night, just the first one, and that comes in at number 6. That was made in 1985. Amanda Bierce. That's going to be the only actor I can think of right offhand that was in that movie, and she made the movie for me. If you've ever seen Fright Night for real, I had to do that. If you've ever seen Fright Night from 1985, you know what an awesome movie it is. The dance scene on the dance floor with Amanda Bierce and the guy that's playing the part of the main vampire have that dance, and it's sexy as fuck. It's just really good. And then she's got her half nude scene or whatever it was. And as a teenager, when you see that for the first time, you're like, probably just sounded like a gun going off. Sorry about that. But Fright Night was just so good, and it wasn't just the suspense; it was the humor, it was the effects, it was some of the cheesy lines too. Because back in the '80s, nobody gave a shit about lines being cheesy. They're like, "That's good movies, man." You know what I mean? So back in the '80s thing and '90s, we all appreciated stuff so much more. But I'm not going to cut anybody down on here. Everybody's got their own, interests and favorites when it comes to movies. But for me, the old stuff is always the best. And if you've ever seen Amanda Bierce and Married with Children, you know that she's a treat. She really is. Even if she gets under your nerves as Marcy in Married with Children, just watch Fright Night if you haven't seen it before, and I promise you, you will not be let down. Pardon me, I've had a cold and I'm trying to get over it right now, so bear with me. All right, number 5 is Dracula Dead and Loving It from 1995. Oh my gosh, movie cracks me up. Back in the day, nobody was funnier than Leslie Nielsen. I don't really follow comedy much anymore. And the last time I was really into comedy was when Will Ferrell was coming out of Saturday Night Live. Back in the days when Chris Farley and Chris Rock and Adam Sandler were all on there. It was the best. But when it came to movies in the 80s, Leslie Nielsen had some of the best. And in 1995, when Dracula Dead and Loving It came out, I had a new favorite movie. It was made by Mel Brooks, and Mel Brooks is in it. Trying to remember some of the other actors there. Amy Yazbek. I'll just stick with that for right now. Peter McNichol, who's also in the Ghostbuster movie, one of the Ghostbuster movies, and he's also in Ally McBeal. So give Dracula Dead and Loving It a shot. I promise you, you'll love it. You'll fall in love with it. It is so damn funny from start to finish. It's probably one of the best comedies of all time, to be honest. It's just that damn funny. If you're really big in the vampire movies and you love Dracula, I promise you, Leslie Nielsen will not let you down. You can't go wrong with Leslie Nielsen. And Amy Yasbeck in this movie was fucking hot. Fucking hot. That was another one of those movies for me where I was like, anyways, uh, and it really, even though it's a parody of all the vampire and Dracula movies that have been made up to that point, it was still so damn good. So go give it a shot. Number 4, Queen of the Damned from 2002. Rest in peace, Aaliyah. You were so fucking good in that role. Nobody could have ever done that better. Stuart Townsend is in that movie as well. He's a very talented actor. I haven't seen him in very many things, so I can't just go out and say, "Oh, I'll go and check out all his movies," because I don't know all his movies. Nor do I know Aaliyah's all her movies. But she was really good in the role, and so was Stuart Townsend in his role. And if you haven't seen it, you'll really enjoy it. A lot of it is set in New Orleans, Louisiana. Some of it's set in Death Valley, California. I really enjoyed the beginning of it because it goes through the old cemeteries there in Louisiana and New Orleans, and that's just so cool to me. I'm really into that kind of stuff. And you'll see podcasts on here where we do paranormal stuff eventually. I promise you that. I'm going to be staying in a haunted mansion overnight doing a tour October 15th. It's in Oklahoma City. Oh, is it the Overholser? I can never remember the name of it, but it's in Oklahoma City. It's a mansion. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm doing it with the history club at the university I attend. Um, I'm really big into history, so you'll also see historical podcasts. Maybe not on this account, maybe on another one, but they are coming as well. Um, but if you haven't seen Queen of the Damned, one great thing about it is the music. And there was another movie I forgot to mention that about Fright Night. The music in Fright Night is really, really good. If you like old 80s music, the entire movie from start to finish is just perfect. It doesn't get any better. But back to Queen of the Damned, the soundtrack is absolutely. I will not hold any other soundtrack above this one. It doesn't happen. The soundtrack to Queen of the Damned from 2002 is the best damn movie soundtrack of all time. Jonathan Davis of Korn helped produce it, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but he's also done other films and other like soundtracks, and it's just so perfectly done with the music to the movie, and it really helps make the movie. There's a scene with Marius and Lestat, and they're on the beach, and they have this gypsy girl with them on the beach, and Lestat starts playing this violin, and it is just go watch it. If you know what scene I'm talking about, you're gonna want to go see this movie after you're done watching this because you're gonna be like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps. It's one of my favorite movies, you know. So go check out Queen of the Damned, one of the very best vampire movies of all time. You won't be let down if you haven't seen it. It just has a really good southern vibe to it, and has a good southern uh, setting and theme, and the it has just an amazing hardcore rock soundtrack to it. And I even own the original soundtrack, not just I have both, where it actually has uh, Disturbed and Korn and Marilyn Manson on the soundtrack. It's got a lot of other folks on there. It's just one of the best. God, oh my God, I can't stop talking about it. I got to move on. But it is the greatest movie soundtrack you will ever listen to, and the instrumental music. I have that soundtrack as well. The instrumental soundtrack, so good. So really, just the music of Queen of the Damned is what made the movie. It really was, because some of the acting in it was just kind of. It was okay. Could have been better. I love Stuart Townsend as Lestat. I don't know who played the part of Marius, but he was actually really good too. But Aaliyah playing the part of Akasha or Akesha, I think it was Akesha. Um, she just did such a phenomenal job. And anybody out there that hasn't seen Queen of the Damned is being robbed of it. On to the next one, because I have other podcasts I'm going to do tonight. Number 3, Interview with the Vampire. It's got Tom Cruise. It's got Brad Pitt. It's got Antonio Banderas in it for a little bit. It's got Christian Slater. And it's got Kirsten Dunst when she was much younger, because this was made in 1994, or it came out in 94. Tom Cruise is, and this is the same character that I just talked about in Queen of the Damned. Tom Cruise's character Lestat, one of the most sinister, evil characters in cinema history. I mean, he's just so cold and calculated. He puts off this image of this aristocrat, but really he's just this narcissistic, evil son of a bitch that just wants to kill everything in sight. And that's just the best part about his character. It really is. It's his snobbish, aristocratic attitude that says, I'm better than you. And Brad Pitt's just kind of this, oh, I don't like being this vampire kind of shit. I don't know about all this. I'm kind of a wimp. And then Kirsten Dunst, that didn't sound too good. Kirsten Dunst comes along, and I will say this: what I just said is no, nothing bad on Kirsten Dunst whatsoever, because I really enjoy her work. She's good in anything she does, from the Spider-Man movies and the movies she did with Jim Carrey. I'm having a tough time remembering it right now, but it's a really good one. Just go look it up. Kirsten Dunst is pretty damn good, and Interview with the Vampire, she did such a great job. For a kid actor, she did a badass job. Um, if you haven't seen Interview with the Vampire, please do. It's one of the greatest vampire movies of all time. Like I said, it's my number 3 movie. And all these 80s and 90s movies from back in the day, and being great vampire movies from back then, and trying to compare it to any kind of vampire movie that's come out in like the last 20 years, other than Queen of the Damned, has just been kind of. I thought they all fucking sucked. Just my humble and honest opinion. I'm very forward, and I don't care what anybody thinks. So enjoy these podcasts, because you're never going to bring me down with any of your negative comments. And I know that there's a lot of trolls out there that just don't give a fuck about anybody's feelings. I'm also one of those people. I'm just not a dick like you, but I can be. Um, on to the next one. The Lost Boys is my number 2 vampire movie of all time, from 1987. It's got Kiefer Sutherland. It's got Jason Patric. It's got both Corys. Corey Feldman, Corey Haim. It's just, what can I say about The Lost Boys? It's a perfect vampire movie. And if, like I said, and a lot of times, and what I've said about a few of these movies, the score, and that's what I meant by instrumental music from Queen of the Damned, the score of the movie can make the movie, or it can break it if it sucks. And The Lost Boys, the score and the soundtrack, both top notch. So fucking good. It's got some classic songs on there that you will fall in love with if you love classic rock, and I believe it's got the Doors on there. Uh, I know one of the scenes in there. I still believe. Dun, 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 dun. You know, with the saxophone, he's got his shirt off. Kind of an iconic moment in there. You know. Anyways, I know a lot of girls would probably be foaming at the mouth. I know a lot of guys would probably be foaming at the mouth too, but that's neither here nor there. Whatever your preference is, I don't care. Everybody's allowed to be equally fucking miserable. Um, and last but not least, oh, well, I'll talk a little bit more about the Lost Boys. What else can I say? I think it's the camaraderie of the movie, the characters in it, how they all just kind of hang out together, and life is just so much fun when you're a vampire, when you're undead, and if you're not, you're not cool. That's like the theme of the movie. It really is, you know. And when you're hanging out with not Christian Slater, damn it, 80s actor. I went back to an 80s actor, and it was not the right one. Kiefer Sutherland is such a good fucking vampire. Like, he's a great bad guy. I want to see Kiefer Sutherland in more roles where he's a bad guy. We see him in so many roles where he's a good guy, but I guarantee you, if you pulled his ass into a movie where he has to be a bad guy, he'll make you eat shit and like it. If you don't like his bad guy performance, you're probably just a really bad movie critic and you have no taste whatsoever, because it was one of the best bad guy performances, especially for the 80s, you know, that you could possibly have. So it's time to pull your head out of your ass and go watch The Lost Boys if you haven't. That's what you get on the Rebel Review, baby. I'm not going to be doing movie reviews on movies like The Artist. You know what I think about that? Fuck The Artist. If you're a rebel like me, you're gonna love these reviews because I don't give a fuck. All right. And last but not least, my very favorite vampire movie of all time, Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. Gary fucking Oldman, you are a genius. You're an artist, and I fucking love the shit out of you, man. You're so fucking talented. Just you cannot get a better guy to play Dracula. Back in '92, you know, people were probably thinking, "Oh, Johnny Depp would probably be good at this." You know, Johnny Depp probably would have been good at that. He probably would have been just as good, but he wasn't given the role. And Gary Oldman did such an amazing job. Nobody could have done better. Johnny Depp probably would have done good, but not as good as Gary Oldman. No fucking way. Winona Ryder was incredible in this. I don't have a whole lot of movies where she's in them that are my favorites, other than the movie with Adam Sandler. What is it? Somebody help me out here. Mr. Deeds. Mr. Deeds. And I think she's probably in. Oh, she's also in Stranger Things. She's really good in Stranger Things. So there's a couple of movies I've seen her in, and in Bram Stoker's Dracula, she's that's probably her best movie. I hate to say that because it kind of not necessarily. I'm not trying to demean her acting career in any way, fashion, or form, because she is a very talented actress. I haven't seen very many of her movies, and I just think that or her shows, and I just think that out of all the things that I have seen her in, it's her best one. So I can't say it's her best movie because that would be kind of you know calling the calling the kettle a slut. So on to a few of the other actors in there. Keanu Reeves. Oh my God, here we go. I am an FBI agent. Yeah, I went there. Um, so his British accent wasn't all that gnarly, brother. It was just I didn't care for him as Jonathan Harker. I know where the old bastard sleeps. I could still hear Bill. What is it, Bill and Ted? I could still hear whoever what that character was, and also Johnny Utah from Point Break. I could still hear those characters and Jonathan Harker, and it pissed me off because it's like, man, you really are an ass. Keanu Reeves he's a great actor. He's been in a ton of movies. He's doing really good these days, and he's in the John Wick trilogy, and they're fucking badass. Those are great movies. Knock Knock. If you've not seen Knock Knock, little dirty. It's got some nudity and boobies in it and all that shit. But total guy thing I just said there. But uh, it's really good. A lot of suspense, and it puts the it just puts things in perspective for somebody that's not expecting uh, people to drop in on them. Kind of like how I feel about people dropping in on me. When I have company, I want to throw shit against the wall. But anyways, back to the podcast. Uh, Bram Stoker's Dracula is the greatest vampire movie of all time, and Gary Oldman did more than just play the part of Dracula. He played the part of the young part of Dracula, Vlad Tepes, you know, Vlad the Impaler. And, Lurking About by Day was just kind of really interesting for me because in the original Dracula, you didn't see that. Dracula stayed in his coffin. He didn't come out at day. But Gary Oldman's character as Dracula was able to wander about by day. And that made the movie a little bit better. They also went into development and great detail about who Vlad was before he became Dracula, the mythical vampire. Uh, and Vlad Tepes was a legend himself. He wasn't a very good guy, that's for damn sure. This guy impaled many people um, with a pike through the ass, and it's just like, holy shit, that's fucked up. Um, if you ever want to do some research on Dracula, there's a lot of good shit out there. Um, but Bram Stoker's Dracula has the best effects probably in any vampire movie. Like I said, the score it also makes the movie. It's so damn good. I own the score to probably half of these movies on here, and I just really enjoy good creepy music. It helps me write. I like to write scripts and short stories. If you ever get a chance to, check me out on wattpad.com/jdrebel37, and you can check out some of my stories on there. I think I'm going to end the podcast here because I got some other podcasts I want to do tonight on some other movies. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure to like, share, and follow. You guys have a great week.